It is my great pleasure to welcome you to the world of learning new concepts and current trends, so let's start. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the hidden blueprint that powers just about everything in your digital life, from your social media feed to your online shopping cart. It's like the secret language of data. And today, you're going to learn how to speak it. All right, let's start with a question. Ever just stop and wonder how an app on your phone, say Instagram, or even your banking app, juggles all that information? I mean, millions of people, all their friends, their posts, their transactions, how does it not just, completely fall apart? Well, the answer, and this might surprise you, isn't just about clever coding. Nope, it all starts with a plan. A really smart visual plan. A blueprint, really, that lays out all the pieces of data and how they connect to each other. And this happens before anyone even thinks about writing a single line of code. So, to really get this, we're going to build one of these blueprints ourselves. And we'll use a simple everyday example, a local vet's office. Think about it. They need a way to track all their pets and, of course, their owners. Okay, so here's the game plan. First, we'll figure out what exactly an ER diagram is. Then, we'll get into the building blocks, the basic things we're tracking. After that, we'll add some details to them. Then, we'll connect the dots. And finally, we'll see why this whole blueprint thing is so darn important. All right, section 1. So what is this blueprint actually called? Let's dive in. Okay, so this blueprint has a name. It's called an Entity Relationship Diagram, or ERD for short. Now, I know that sounds a little technical, but don't worry. Just think of it like a map for your data. It's the visual game plan that lets developers see the whole picture, the entire structure, way before they start building anything. Probably the easiest way to wrap your head around this is to think back to grade school grammar. Seriously. The entities are basically the nouns, the people, places, or things. The attributes are the adjectives. They describe the nouns. And the relationships, those are the verbs, showing how all the nouns interact with each other. Nouns, adjectives, verbs. That's it. All right, let's start with those building blocks, the nouns of our system. These are the entities. And we're going to go right back to our vet's office to see how this works in practice. So what's an entity? It's really just anything that we need to store information about. Could be a person, an object, even a concept. And to represent it in our diagram, we just draw a simple rectangle. Super straightforward. So let's think about our vet's office. What are the main nouns we need to track? Well, the two most obvious ones, right? You've got the owner and you've got the pet. So we just draw two rectangles and label them. That's our starting point. Now, here's a little nuance. Some entities are what we call strong. They can exist all on their own. But others are weak. A great example is in a company database. An employee is a strong entity. But a dependent, like an employee's child, their record can't exist in the database unless it's linked to an employee. It literally depends on that other entity to exist. Pretty logical when you think about it? Okay, so we've got our nouns, our entities. But they're just empty boxes right now. We need to describe them. We need some adjectives. So let's add some detail. These adjectives are officially called attributes. Think of them as the properties or characteristics of our entities, the specific pieces of info we want to track. And in our diagram, we draw them as little ovals connected to their entity rectangle. So for our vet's office, what do we need to know about an owner? Well, for sure, their name, address, phone number. Makes sense. And for a pet, we'd want its name, its breed, and this is a big one, a unique pet ID. Why? Because you might have 10 different dogs named Max, and we need a way to tell them apart. Okay, let's talk about that underlined pet ID for a second, because this is absolutely crucial. It's what's known as a key attribute or a primary key. Think of it like a social security number, but for the pet. There might be tons of pets named Luna, right? But each one will have its own totally unique pet underscore ID. This is the secret sauce that keeps everything perfectly organized and prevents. And, this can get even more sophisticated. For example, an attribute like address could be a composite one, meaning you can break it down into street, city, and zip code. Or you could have a multi-valued attribute, like if an owner has multiple phone numbers. And then there are derived attributes, like age, which you wouldn't store directly, you just calculate it from the pet's birth date. It just shows how flexible these diagrams are. Okay, progress check. We have our nouns, the entities, we have our adjectives, the attributes, but right now they're just two separate concepts floating around. We need to connect them. It's time to add the verb. And that connection, that verb, is called a relationship. It's pretty self-explanatory, right? It's the association between our entities. And in the world of ER diagrams, we show this using a diamond shape. So back to the vet's office. What's the relationship between an owner and a pet? The owner owns the pet. So we stick that diamond with owns right between them. But pay attention to the little numbers on the lines. There's a 1 next to owner and an N, which stands for many, next to pet. This sets up a really important business rule. One owner can have many pets. This whole idea of using numbers to define the rules of the relationship, that has a name too. It's called cardinality. This is where the blueprint really comes to life because you're defining the actual business logic. You're answering the question, for every one of this thing, how many of that thing can there be? And really, there are 4 main types of these relationships. You can have a one-to-one, maybe one employee manages exactly one department. There is one-to-many, which is our vet example. You can flip that for many-to-one, like many faculty members all belonging to one department. And then there's the many-to-many, which can get a bit complex, like how many newspapers can advertise many different properties. Getting this cardinality right is everything. It's what makes the whole system logical and stops you from putting in data that makes no sense. This is really the heart of the design. Okay, let's pull back for the big picture. Why does all this matter? Why is this simple diagram we've been building actually so powerful? Because here's the payoff. This ER diagram we've sketched out, it becomes the official blueprint for the developers who are going to build the real database. It ensures that everything is organized, consistent, and reliable, whether you're building a small system for a vet's office or a massive social media network. Trying to build an app without one of these, I mean, that's like trying to build a skyscraper without architectural plans. It would be total chaos. So there you have it. You now understand the basics of this blueprint. You kind of have the tools to start thinking like a database designer. So next time you're scrolling through an app or using a website, take a second. Try to see the hidden structure. What are the entities? What are the attributes? How are they all connected? Because I guarantee you, whatever it is, it all started with a simple diagram just like the one we put together today.